often do we use the phrase, "Can't you see what it is I'm trying to tell you?" Or, "Do you see what I mean?" Seeing is also coming to an understanding about something that maybe previously you didn't understand. It means coming into truth. The story of the man born blind is an incredible story of healing on so many levels. It is a story that talks about what seems on the surface so confusing. Jesus says, "He came into the world so that those who do not see might see, and that those who see might become blind." He also associated blindness and seeing with sin. If you were blind, you would have no sin, and seeing means your sin remains. As a person who fell away from the church, there was a time when I thought I saw the truth, that God was nothing more than a man-made myth, that religious people were either brainwashed or crazy or simply not thinking things through logically. So to hear from the gospel reading that the Pharisees refused to believe that Jesus was who he claimed to be, and that they were the ones who were blind, is totally relatable to me. To see only the material world is to become blind to the possibility that there is a reality beyond this physical world. It is to be blind to a God who wants nothing more than for us to see the truth of who God is and what God can do in our lives. Life can sometimes be like going to a movie theater, where after being there a while, we become used to the darkened room, not even realizing how dark it really is. But then, when we walk into the broad daylight, it almost hurts. Falling in love with Jesus is like that. The moment we turn our lives over to Jesus, and I mean really allow him to enter into our lives and into our hearts, suddenly it's like moving from that dark theater into a brilliant light of day. On this fourth Sunday of Lent, rejoice. Jesus can heal us, but first we have to recognize our blindnesses. Then we need to allow Jesus to put mud on our eyes and wash them in the pool. Suddenly, we see a great light. We see the truth of our sinfulness and are no longer blinded by sin and lies. No longer are we burdened by our affliction. Blindness becomes sight, and then when Jesus asks us if we believe in the Son of Man, we too can answer honestly, "I do believe, Lord," and worship him.
My name is Suzanne Endres. This is my husband, John. Both John and I have been Catholic all our life. We've been raised in Catholic homes. We've been married, it'll be 30 years. Okay, we have 8 children, ranging in age from 35 to 11. We have 2 grandchildren now.
I like to say about our children that we have just 8, and I see people's knees buckle a little bit. In some ways it is a challenge because there is so many, but it's never dull. It's always been a real blessing, raising the kids. I'm very proud of one of our sons that has joined the Marine Corps, and every one of them is different. That's what's amazing, how they are all so different. I don't think I'd have it any other way,
John and I both went on CHIRP, which is now Welcome. I volunteer for religious ed.
My greatest involvement is with the Scouts. I really try to make that a good ministry for our boys. We've had struggles, I think, within our family.
I was pregnant with Hannah in 1998, normal pregnancy. I went into labor at 37 weeks, and when we got to the hospital, we found out there was no longer a heartbeat.
We lost Hannah, she was full term. And up to that point, I think that was one of the hardest things we had to deal with. 2 of the other struggles that I kind of thought about here was when Philip was diagnosed with cancer.
Our son Philip was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 3 years old. He went through 3 years of treatment, so now he's 18 years old.
And I lost my job about 6 months after that, and that was a hard time. It really was a hard time. But God provided a job for me 15 months later. And then during the middle of the pandemic, I was diagnosed with cancer. I lectured for many years, and then when I came down with cancer, I stopped for a bit. That's all fine, so I need to get going back. So we've had struggles, I think, that have made us stronger. I think about the readings for this weekend, and where Jesus took the mud and smeared it on the guy's on his eyes and told him to go wash. And I think it says something about, I washed and I could see. And in some ways, I look at these struggles as God putting mud on my eyes and then helping me to see his presence. It's really hard in the midst of a struggle to see God working. But kind of afterwards, and as you're coming out of it, you see how God was carrying you the whole time. How, and what is it that he's trying to teach me in this struggle? What is he trying, pull us, bring us closer together as a family? And I think that's incredibly important.
One of the things that I focused on and that I see the good in is how many people were the hands and feet of Christ to us during those times. People bringing meals or cleaning our house or, taking our other children places that they needed to be. And another thing that I see is how through my experience or through our experiences that we've been able to help other people. I would get a call from Jean Gersh at church and she would say, could you please call this other mom who just recently lost a baby? Or we would, receive a message from the hospital and say, can you talk to this other family who was their child was recently diagnosed, and can you help them through these things? John and I have, really worked together to communicate how we deal with our things, as well as just rely on our faith to see us through.
As far as faith is concerned, there is no way, I'm totally convinced of this, there is no way we would have persevered through this without God. Faith is a gift, and to let that gift come is very important. People would help us out in these struggles. I remember we had an anonymous guardian angel, after I'd lost my job, just leave us money to help us get by, was, Jesus to us, people being Jesus to us, and that's important. You've said it quite a bit, is we have to allow other people to be Jesus to us.
Yes. We have to allow people the graces that they'll receive by helping us. Because sometimes I don't, especially me, I don't like to accept help. But I was told that, you have to be open to allowing those people who want to help you to receive the graces that they'll receive by helping you.
And just to be able to say thank you to them.